What's up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingNews.com. Welcome back to another one of our Kentucky Derby updates. We're back for another big update this week. We've got a couple of races to go over, and then we'll talk about new top fives for both John White and myself, and then we'll look at what we're going to see this coming weekend with the Virginia Derby. All right, I'll put the results up on the screen now. We'll go through these first two here, the only two I guess we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about the Tampa Bay Derby first, won by the Puma. The Puma gets the job done. Shout out Mike Somich, who was very high on this horse, and this horse came through for him in a big way. Very nice effort from the Puma to get the job done here. Further ado, second, Canaletto third. It was kind of it was a blanket finish, sort of. The Puma was pulling away towards the end, so he kind of got clear of them a little bit more than further ado. Canaletto kind of finishing right there together. Interesting race. I thought the Puma got the worst trip. He did not get a good trip in the Sam F. Davis, but the difference was they just kept him wide and they didn't get him stopped. And they were just like, hey, run wide, and if he wins, he wins, but just don't get him stopped. And it worked. He was able to, get the job done even despite that wide trip. Ran down Further Ado, who I think is going to get better off of this race, and also Canaletto, who I actually think is going to get better out of this race as well. Top three finishers are contenders-ish, is how I would say. The Puma certainly in. Further Ado, I think he's a pretty good contender. He's probably in with enough points after this. The reason why I say ish, let's talk about Canaletto, the third place finisher. I actually think he learned a lot here. I think he'll get better off of this race. He's bred to go long. I'm kind of speculative, though, about how long he really wants to go, where he's going to be his absolute best. I could see them kind of rerouting, trying to get him, 100% for the Preakness, or maybe cutting him back a little bit. I don't know. I don't think he's a Derby horse at this point, and I don't think it's from a lack of talent. I do think this is a talented horse. May just not want to go that far. May just be too much too soon. I kind of think they'll regroup, like I said, and point for a race right after the Kentucky Derby, whether it be the Preakness, Belmont, maybe go to the Peter Pan and then try that. Maybe go to the Pat Day Mile and try a one-turn race. I just don't think the Derby and pushing him to the Derby is what they'll try to do. Could totally be wrong. I have no, inside information other than just that's what I think they'll try to do. Further Ado, I think, is going to get a lot better out of this race. I think the Puma will too. I mean, this was just his third start, and it was just first win of his career. So I think the Puma improves off of this race. Further Ado, first out, I thought he ran really well. I wasn't disappointed with him. I picked him to win, and I thought he probably should have won based on the trip that the Puma got. I think Further Ado probably should have held him off. However, he didn't. And I do think, like I said, he's going to get better in his next start. That was his first start off of a long layoff. Some of the also runs we'll talk about here. Talking got a lot of talk, and that was just it, just talking on him. Power Shift, a horse I thought would run much, much better. He was nowhere to be found. He didn't get the desired trip. I think he kind of didn't get that, front position, and he kind of took, dirt for the first time, and, first time facing winners after losing that maiden very narrowly. Just didn't run back to the number. I don't think that necessarily means that maiden was overhyped or wasn't any good. I just think this was a horse that had a lot of inexperience, that didn't get a desired trip, and kind of just didn't run very well. By the way, the number 8, the Puma, that kind of sounds like him in the Sam F. Davis, right? He didn't get his desired trip. He just didn't run all that well. He definitely improved for this race. So I like these top two. I think they move on, and I think they've got a shot in the Kentucky Derby. Let's go now to the San Felipe Stakes, which was won by Potente. So the other Bob Baffert wins yet again. And that's what's been happening out in Southern California. Quote unquote, other Bob Baffert has been winning these races. This looked pretty rough. I'm not going to lie, down the stretch. Robusta, he was not finishing strongly. Let's put it that way. He was kind of all over the place. He was in the lead for the longest of times down the stretches, could not hold off Potente. Potente, just to me, seems like a very, I don't know if it's greenness or just, I don't know. It just like his mind is kind of wandering. It felt like, okay, go get Robusta. Like, it's time to run. You are the only horse that's really finishing up. Just go get him. And it took a while, but he did do that. And a lot of people have pointed out the gallop out after the race. Potente just gallops out way ahead of everybody else. That's because nobody else could run a step down that stretch but him. So I would imagine he's going to gallop out of horses that just look dog tired. Let's be honest. Crossing that wire, except for him. I don't think he was tired. I just think he was kind of, it's like, come on, go, and I don't know if it's greenness or just maybe he's just kind of one pace. He's not all that quick, but he can go long. We know that. I mean, I think going longer is only going to help him. I said it after his maiden, you have to improve out of this race. Well, he did. He ran much better this time around. He's winning races, and I'm saying he needs to improve. He still needs to improve, but who's to say he can't at 1.125 miles? I actually think there's upside with this horse. I don't have him in the top 5 this week, just spoiler alert there, but I think there is upside. I don't know if he's just kind of more of a grinded out type or if he's just really learning what he's supposed to do on the fly. I think he'll be a major player in the Santa Anita Derby. So look for him. Robusta, they said they're going to go on with him. I don't have a lot of interest in him. So happy look. I thought he ran okay, but I do think it's a one-turn horse, and I thought that going in, he was probably going to be best at one turn, but I thought he could get 1.16 miles. He kind of flattened. He probably should have won this race if that was the case. What I just said. Secured Freedom up for 4th. He's just not very good. Brandt was phony from the very start. I think we knew that. You watched the previews. I think we all kind of thought, well, he's either going to get out on a lonely lead and have a blocker and do, go gate to wire, or he's probably going to finish off the board, and that's what he did. I mean, he just, I hate to be like, ultra negative on a horse, but I think he's one turn, number one. I think he's phony, number two. I've thought it from the start. And number three, how bad is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile? It's just bad. And listen, when Ted Nafi got hurt, I was like, wow, what a loss. What do we do now? I'm highly skeptical Ted Nafi would be in anybody's top 5 right now. I just don't think those 2-year-old horses were very good, and I think it's being proven over and over and over. These newer ones are just better than the ones that ran in the big race there as a 2-year-old. So we'll see what Patente does moving forward. Again, I don't think this was a very good race. I didn't think his maiden was a very good race, but he did improve race 1 to 2. And if he can prove again race 2 to 3, I mean, he's right there with these horses. Both winners got an 89 Beyer speed figure. The Tampa Bay number is completely and utterly meaningless. You may think all Beyers are meaningless. That's fine too. I don't think they're meaningless, but the Tampa Bay number is they're totally guessing. And that's what you have to do. It poured rain right before the race. So you have no idea, you knew the track was going to slow down. You have no idea to what degree. They had to guess on that one. This one, I mean, it's the lowest Beyer for the San Felipe ever. But again, it's just a horse with his second start. A lot of bad horses behind him that just didn't want to run that far. I don't look at the San Felipe that negatively, even though it got an 89 Beyer, because I do think the winner can move on. The rest of them, no. And like with Tampa, it could easily be a 95 Beyer. It could easily be an 85 Beyer. It's just a total guess. I would not worry about the Beyers whatsoever on that one. Look, I think both performances, to sum it up here, were solid, but I don't think they were as good as what we saw in the Rebel or the Fountain of Youth. But look, those horses, I think I'm pretty high on them, right? We'll talk about that in a second. So I think these races, both of them, were a little bit of a cut below what we saw the week before in the Rebel and the Fountain of Youth. However, these horses are very interesting on the trail this year. They're very lightly raced. Horses that are 3 years old, that are making like their third and fourth starts, you could see some dramatic improvement. You could also see a horse run huge and then really regress. That's what makes this fascinating this year. We don't have a lot of, hey, there's a solid foundation under this horse. We've really built this horse up, and we've had him prepared for this moment, right? It's a lot of, whoa, we debuted that horse. He's really good. Let's throw him in the deep into the pool and see how he swims. That is literally what's happened with a lot of these horses. Not all. We'll talk about a couple that's a little different, but a lot of them are like that, which makes for a lot of super interesting last round of preps. And that's why I'm so excited for what's to come on the Derby trail. All right, let's get to the top 5s. You probably hear my voice. I don't know. I don't know why. Like, I think we've had better horses. I think last year we had better horses, but I'm really into this Derby trail more than most. I'm into all of them. First of all, you have to be. And second of all, if you do this for a living, you have to love it, or you got to get out of it because it's your life 24/7. And I'm always excited for it. I don't know. There's something about this trail really has me excited. So, we'll see. We'll see. It could flop, but I think it's really delivered. Even last weekend, I said, hey, those races are a cut below. they were still really good races and really intriguing as we go forward. All right, let's go to the top fives now. I'll go to mine first. And I'm gonna, if I can put it up there, I'm gonna go Renegade number 5. So this is new. I had a class president at number 5, and I flipped to Renegade. And why did I do that? Well, the Puma, who he beat by 6 lengths, he came back to win the Tampa Bay Derby. So I've got Renegade at number 5. I'll move him ahead of class president. Number 4 is Nearly. So with Renegade and with Nearly, and who I'm going to talk about next, Paladin, kind of feels like there is a little bit of foundation. They aren't kind of the, quote unquote new shooters. They did have a couple of races. They did allow their trainer to kind of plan for this. So that'll be interesting, these last preps, how they fare versus these, I call them new shooters. They're not really new shooters. They've been in preps, but kind of the more lightly raced runners. So Nearly number 4 for me. We'll see him in the Florida Derby next. Paladin number 3. We're going to see him in the Bluegrass. Of course, he won the Risen Star last time out, so we're excited to see what he can do in the Bluegrass. Commandment number 2, of course, winning the Fountain of Youth. And then for another week for me, Chief Wallaby number 1. Yes, he did finish second in the Fountain of Youth. Just his second start, though. I thought he ran tremendous. I think if he builds off that effort, he's going to be very tough to beat. I think he's got every right to improve in the Florida Derby, and that's why I'm projecting him at number 1. Now, if this was a list of who has accomplished the most, it would be Commandment, obviously number 1. But this is a list of who do I think is going to win the Kentucky Derby. That's why I've got Chief Wallaby ahead. I'll probably pick him I will pick him in the Florida Derby as well. So that's why I'm going to have him at number 1. I could be proven wrong. Commandment beats him again in that spot. May have to kind of rethink things. All right, let's go John White's here. He's got Renegade at number 5. This is going to be unchanged. My only change was flipping class president and Renegade. But for John White, he's got Renegade 5. He's got Paladin number 4. He's got Nearly number 3. So he's flip-flopped those 2 on my list to his list there. Commandment 2 for him, and Chief Wallaby number 1. So no changes there for for John White. If I could speak about calling Top White, that would have been, well, that may be his Top Gun name, Top White, maybe. But anyway, Chief Wallaby there, number 1 for him. Let's read his comments. He said, I think the Puma deserves a lot of credit for winning the Tampa Bay Derby, a stakes race in which he actually earned his maiden diploma. I especially was impressed by the way the Puma got the job done, despite quite a wide trip. However, the Puma does not crack my top 5 list. I also think Potente deserves a lot of credit for winning the San Felipe in just his second career start. I especially was impressed by the way Potente came home with gusto, and I loved the way he galloped out a block in front. However, Potente does not crack my top 5 this week. And so my Kentucky Derby top 5 this week is exactly the same as last week. I'll comment. That's the end of John's comments. I'll comment. The Puma, I thought about, maybe putting 5th, 6th, something like that. I put him at 8th. I've got him behind class president and Silent Tactic. I think, though, when you get past the top 4, it's pretty interchangeable past that. And, again, one more little jump up and it's very interchangeable, maybe 1 through 10. Potente, I ranked him 10th. Again, I'm just not sold on him completely. But again, I think going a mile and an eighth, I think he's going to get better. And, out there at Southern California right now, I mean, he probably looks like the best horse going into the San Diego Derby, doesn't he? I kind of think he does. Now, Baffert, he's had trouble keeping horses healthy. He's had trouble running horses back quickly. That's not all that quick, but, in today's time it is. So we'll just see how he goes. But he looks pretty good as of right now to me. So, all right, final thing here. We'll take a look at the Virginia Derby. This is the only Kentucky Derby prep race this weekend. Look, we know, right? We know what to expect here with this race. It's kind of that oddball race. It almost reminds me of the old Sunland Derby when it used to be around this time, where it's like, we kind of have a good idea of what this is. It's kind of the also-rans. Butane was 3rd in the Southwest Stakes. Grittiness is kind of tried in a couple of New York preps. A Confessional, kind of an also-ran. Incredible, trying to get his kind of path back on track here. It's just kind of a, hey, we can kind of make a move here and jump up and maybe we can get back to it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of, what you're looking at here in this one. One thing I'll kind of say, and and remember this and remember what happened last season. So this track last year, it only opens for these 3 days, and then you won't see it again. I believe in the summer, it opens back up. It played extremely fast last year. I mean, extremely fast. So you got a lot of times that were kind of absurd, right? And so what happened last year, the winner of this race ran a time that was crazy, and it was faster than all the other times out there. And people just looked at that time and said, "Okay, well, that's the Derby winner, right?" Don't be fooled by that. And I'm talking about American Promise. If you don't forget, or if you don't remember, for Dwayne Lucas, I don't know if it was just there's only 3 days of racing. Maybe the weather caused it. Maybe they wanted to soup up the track to get fast times, but don't be fooled by raw times when you compare what they're going to do here with other tracks. Now, this year it may not play like that, but last year, speed was unbelievable here. It was hard to pass horses. You had to be in the top 3 or 4, and the times were super fast. Again, do not get fooled. I had so many comments last year saying, why are you throwing out American Promise? Look at this time and this and that. You cannot compare times at different tracks. You just can't do it. So don't do it this year. Don't burn money on a horse that is going to run very, very fast here, if that is the case this year and if that track plays like that. So that's just my biggest takeaway to what to tell people. Again, next week, I'll come back and update and say, hey, it played really, really fast again, and I'll mention that. Or we'll say, hey, it played more like normal. There could have been a million reasons why the track was so fast. So we'll see what happens this year. But again, it's a 3-day meet. They just open it up, they run it all in the dirt, and then they're done until the summer. So just kind of keep an eye on that and kind of keep a thought process of, okay, if these times are really fast, they could be a little bit phony like they were last year. All right, guys, that'll do it for this episode of the Kentucky Derby Update. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Hit the like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe if you really like it. Want to get alert anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, come back next week for another Kentucky Derby Update.